funding, but we'll boost that funding and extend it to 3-year-olds throughout the country.
I call the Assistant Minister for Children and Families.
Speaker, today I feel as I've travelled back in time. It's as though we have regressed beyond the digital age back to the era of vinyl, because here today Labor sounds like a broken record, always preoccupied with spending money instead of delivering outcomes. Those opposite spend more time focused on delivering talking points than delivering for the community. Over and over, they skip and repeat like a busted old 45, reiterating the same virtual signals and trumped-up attempts to blame the government for being prudent with the hard-earned tax revenue we are in charge of. This latest announcement by an opposition on the run is a cynical, focus group-driven attempt at policy work. Mark my words, the opposition's theatrical policy has nothing to do with delivering for children and everything to do with delivering taxpayer-funded jobs for teachers and preschool workers. But how will they pay for it, I hear you say? The same way those opposite pay for everything. Put it on the nation's credit card, then tax us all to the hilt to pay the interest while borrowing even more money for other projects. Now, as I get around my electorate, I haven't found a single person who wants to pay more tax. What they want to do, though, is to be taken seriously. They don't want people to demonise the industries they rely on for their livelihood. They don't want to have major job-creating infrastructure projects like Rookwood Weir and the Capricorn Highway duplication. They block this by politics. They want their representatives to get on with the job of delivering jobs for them and to help address the climbing cost of living. Families are doing it tough enough without also having to pay for the woeful economic management those opposite would provide. A household budget is a hard enough exercise without throwing extra taxes from any government those opposite would thrust upon them. Having said that, preschool is, of course, an important aspect of our education system. The head start our kids are able to take advantage of is part of the how we keep ahead of the rest, and that is why the coalition government is committed to preschool, while also investing record funding of $8.3 billion in the childcare system this financial year. The coalition government is delivering for preschool children, with around $870 million available to support preschool throughout 2018-2019. This funding for preschool is secure until the end of 2019. State and territory governments are responsible for preschool delivery, and it is not enough for states to shirk their constitutional responsibilities. We have a constitution for a reason, and if we don't respect it, we will leave ourselves open to ruin. The federal government will, of course, continue our engagement with the states and territories together to discuss funding arrangements into the future beyond 2020. With funding locked in until 2020, we have certainty and time for this work to be done properly, to ensure future funding investments are aimed at achieving the best outcomes for our children. By way of comparison, Labor's report card on education is very shaky. During their last term, Labor increased childcare fees by 53%, allowed the taxpayer to be rorted and ripped off the tune of between $6 to $8 billion as part of the white elephant producing Building the Education Revolution program, and Labor allowed dodgy training providers and third-party brokers to exploit vet students, leaving them with no qualification and a mountain of debt. In 1 year alone, Labor tried to rip out over $2.8 billion from higher education in a desperate attempt to achieve a surplus. Did it work, though? Of course not. Labor has failed to deliver a budget surplus since the late 1980s. This really does come back to my previous question, though: who is going to pay? At this stage, all we know is that each and every Australian will pay more tax